Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 138, and today we're going to be doing battle in the Gauntlet. And so, as we say in all of our Gauntlet videos, I'm not going to go too in depth with each of our individual decks. If you're interested in seeing a gameplay guide on any of these decks, you can just scroll back in the channel a little bit. We're just going to sit around and talk about some of the individual choices we've made here, along with our general best of three strategy. And so to jump into our lineup this week, we're going to be playing Scouts, we're going to be playing Poppy Taric, and we're going to be playing Gwen, Elise, Katarina with the Harrowings. And so the big thing that I have with all of the deck lists these days and the lineups these days is, of course, I like to play the aggro lineups. You're not going to see me bring a lineup involving Ezreal Kennen. And then I think that all of our decks need to involve either rallies, overwhelms, or elusives. And so we're bringing a sort of triple rally lineup, if you will. Scouts and Poppy Taric are obviously, rally-based lineups. And I think we can kind of think as Gwen, Elise, Katarina as one as well. Between Katarina bringing rallies, having the Eternal Dancers, plus the Reckless Ruiner kind of combos going through, and then the Harrowing itself. I think that this is a good and well place to say that we're playing the rally-based strategies. And so if you are on Team Aggro like us, I think in all of your lineups you should be bringing some form of Misfortune deck. She's just way too powerful to leave at home, and I think she's a must include. And so if you want to play Pirates or if you want to play Scouts, I won't fault you for either of them. I personally prefer to play Scouts, and so that's what we're going to be bringing here today. This is the exact same list that we did a couple of videos ago. I have dropped one Inspired Light for one Ranger's Resolve, but the big thing that we're looking to encounter with this list is we've given up a bit of our game against Pirates. We're not playing 3 copies of Mirai Warden. We only have 2 copies. We're not playing any of the 4-cost Scout whatsoever, and we're looking to get a little bit more value out of the likes of the improvise units, or the attune units, I should say. So we're playing the full 3 copies of Castaway, 3 copies of Zap. We're looking to have that tie into a bit more spell heaviness, and including the Riptide Sermon along with Genevieve. And so we have a little bit more like raw power at the cost of our early game board against Pirates, which I think is okay. We'll swing back to our ideals there here at the end, but nothing too innovative or strange about our list, just more mid-rangey than a lot of the lists you'll see without all of that unit generation. In terms of Poppy Taric, pretty straightforward. The only differences here between what we used to play in seasonals and what we're playing now is we've slowed down a little bit. Right back in seasonals, we were going for the all-in rally kind of version to where we were playing the full 6 rallies, and the idea is just we want to rally as often as soon as possible. We're accepting that we can be a little bit slower now. That's mainly on the back of the Darkened Lodestone. The Darkened Lodestone gives us a fantastic way to close out games, even if we don't have as many rallies. We just have some of this raw power that we get out of the Harazi in a good early and good late card. And so with the addition of Harazi, we can let the games run out just a little bit longer, go back to playing a little bit less rallies, and then some more interactivity. And so we have the collection of Laurent Proteges along with the single copy of Concerted Strike, and then we're playing with the Saga Seekers as opposed to the Frightened Ibex as a nice early game target for a Darkened Lodestone, making him a 3/4 on turn 2 with these additional support abilities is a pretty formidable unit. Last but not least, we're going to be playing Gwen, Elise, Katarina. This is tuned to be much more on the aggro end of the spectrum, with the inclusions of the Legion Saboteurs and a much more early game focused plan. And so with this, we have a very large early game removal package with the Flocks, the Hate Spikes, the Vile Feasts. We have a little bit of the combo with the Fallen Reckoners and the with the Ruined Reckoners and the Eternal Dancers, but the thing we're doing that you don't see across the entirety of the lists is playing the 3 copies of the Harrowing. As we were playing the Sejuani version of this in our previous video, I was really, really impressed and happy with playing 3 copies of the Harrowing and no copies of something like Atrocity. And so I feel like this allows us to be really all in with our aggression early and know that we can just refill and re-hit in the later game with the copies of the Harrowing. And so that's the big difference that we're running out of this one. And so, in terms of the matchups, the only things I wanted to talk about here is I wanted to run over to Legna's site real quick. If you're not familiar with it, it is a great stats-based site. It is at LLORR-stats.com. If you can't remember that, I just Google search LOR Legna and it will turn up. Otherwise, you can just bookmark it. That's what I eventually did myself. But if you want to take a quick peek at the most common decks in the meta, you can come up to the top and click on the meta button and then sort by games played. This is players that played in seasonals last season. He usually does it something to like if you've hit Masters, but now it says the seasonals players. I think that had something to do with last season being a little bit short, and the number of Masters players didn't get nearly as high as it usually does. But as you can expect, Pirates is far and away the most common deck. It's something like 10% of the meta. It doesn't have... Oh, play rate. Here we go. Play rate at 10%. After that, Gwen, Katarina at 7, Trundle Timelines at 6, and then the top decks really start to filter out after that. And so this is why we ultimately say I want to just play good decks, because if you're going to come out here and try and beat Pirates, even if you triple the amount of play rate of Pirates up to 30%, you're still likely to see it in 1, maybe 2 matches across your Gauntlet. And so I don't want to say, okay, I'm going to bring this lineup that really beats up on Pirates. I'm loaded up with all of my Vile Feasts and all my Drains, because there's just a pretty good chance you won't play against it. But I do want to call out these top 5 decks, because they are things that we're very likely to run into 2 or 3 or 4 times across the course of our Gauntlet. And the ones I wanted to call out were in terms of our good matchups and our bad ones. Our decent matchups are listed here. We have Pirates, Evelyn Viego, and Thresh Nasus. Our list handles all of these matchups pretty well. The blue bars being positive matchups, the red ones being negative. And so if we have to play against any of these decks, it's okay, right? If we have to run up against a lineup with Pirates in it and we have to play against Pirates, it's not ideal, but it's something that we can willingly leave up. I wanted to call out that the Vile Feast-based mid-rangey decks and the Pirates decks are all reasonable matchups. The ones that we're going to be looking to avoid... we pulled this up twice. It's easy enough to fix back. It's going to be the other 2 in the top 5 there real quick. We're going to have Ezreal Kinnan. If we can search him up real quick, all these matchups are pretty bad across all of our decks. So if Ezreal Kinnan turns up, we're going to want to ban it. The other one being the Trundle Timelines decks, right? If we take a peek for Timelines, the Trundle Timelines matchups are all bad as well. Just a deck that's very good at putting down a lot of stats on the board, and we can't handle big stat decks. And so that's the thing that we'll keep in mind as the games come about. If we have to play against something like Ezreal Kinnan or Timelines, we'll look to bring in the bans. Ideally, we won't play against any triple Timelines lineups like we did in the last week, but here I think we'll be okay. And so, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get our decks ready. First I rally, then I rally. You're ready to come out. Hallowed Harrowing on its way, and the Scouts ready for battle. And so, you may be wondering, Bust, are you going to pay the pay-to-win price? It's been paid. Everything in here is all premium. I already went and checked it out. We have 2 or 3 epics that haven't been made premium, but everything else is okay. And all right, onto the decks here. I'm not too worried about any of this. The thing that would initially strike me as being a problem would be Shen, but this is Shen Bard. If it was like some kind of like Shen Demacia, I would worry about it quite a bit, but I think this is okay. I'm not too worried about Victor Rumble. I think that we can just crash around a all-in on 1 unit style deck, and that leads me over here towards Katarina Gwen, which strikes me as probably the most powerful and strongest deck, especially as people have started to figure out the usage of Brass Knuckles, or whatever it's called, that 2-cost equipment that the 2-cost equipment that allows your units to get overwhelmed. Works fantastically with LeBlanc and gives some pretty good punch to Gwen as well. And so we'll let that one go. I'm going to lead out with Poppy Taric. If we have to play a deck twice because we've lost a game, I want to play Poppy Taric twice as opposed to having to play Scouts twice. I think Poppy Taric is a little bit more high-rolly in terms of the way some of the draws go. And so if we find ourselves with an awkward start where we have one of these hands where you have like 2 rallies and a Mountain Sojourners in your opener, then we can play it a second time and hopefully recover. All right, well, we didn't find any 1-drops, but it's not too upsetting. I don't think we'll have to be like ultra aggro mode against this guy. The thing with the 2-drops is we can play like a Sculptor on 2, another unit. You can play another 2-drop on turn 3 and then follow up with the Lodestone. Not happening here, but still a pretty reasonable start. He doesn't have the Mystic Shot for our Sculptor. That always feels pretty good. Now we can swing it around to have access to either our Pale Cascade or our Darkened Lodestone. It's like, in my mind, if we're going to have a single challenger on the board, because we do really want to get this Poppy going next turn, right? I would rather just play the Broadwing, which is pretty formidable all on its own, and then still have access to the Pale Cascade or access to the Lodestone, however we want to go about it. So it's like we can play Poppy now. If he has a double Mystic Shot or a Get Excited Pokey Stick or something to throw at Poppy, we still have a little bit of protection. This board is pretty small. I feel like we're not going to get too much value out of this Lodestone. It's just like his units aren't going to do anything to stop us from these combats. So let's go ahead and at least hook Squeaker to the end. He has a chance to grow with the augments, and so that's probably his most formidable unit. I don't really want it blocking our other plays out here. If it's going to like surprise grow in the middle of combat, I don't want it taking down a Durandi Sculptor. But good for us. Nothing too bad happened there. Our Poppy is still safe in the event he tries to get excited. Feeling pretty good. Okay, this is going to be a Golden Aegis turn. We'll go ahead and protect our Poppy. His board's a little scary. He's capable of hooking her in with the Flame Chompers, but we'll try to go ahead and protect her early. If we can get down the Saga Seeker Broadwing and then attack, that'll be great. If we have to play a Pale Cascade, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, dude, people don't approve of that kind of thing. Trying to be mean to our Poppy. Not cool, bro. Not cool. I'll bring the emotes. See if he hooks her in to break this barrier, because she's gonna be attacking. Are we okay with this? We can still use the Broadwing to hook in the Trumpet Tecker if we want, and get in a Poppy attack. I think that's good. It's going to allow her to potentially flip on the next turn. Is that... got the ballistic bot's going to be able to take her down. A little unfortunate. Okay. We'll stop there. Let's see where we can get... Our Poppy is... Like, you could just attack with Poppy and then try and have her grow. Like, I don't think we're at a spot to just play around a removal spell. So I want to get our equipment down. I want to get our Broadwing down. Maybe we'll save for a Pale Cascade this turn. I'm kind of leaning towards not, and just building up board. But the cycle isn't that bad. I think we're safe in terms of our Poppy. Now, you want to take her down before combat happens, so that that boost doesn't get taken away. But he could just be trying to grow his ballistic bot to get around the Broadwings. Sweet, he doesn't have it. Okay. Actually, let's try and kill everything. So this attack will give us a 5-attack unit. Well, we lose our Poppy this way, right? Is that okay? Are we okay with losing Poppy? Probably not. Where'd you go? This way. Now you. Oh my gosh, running out of time. Okay, we got there just in time. All right, a little scary. He's still got his trumpet attacker on board, but we have the means to take it down. He doesn't seem to have an answer to this Poppy. He would have killed her a long time ago if he did, and so hopefully this will pan out. As long as we have some opportunities to spend our mana here. The other thing we could look to do is block and throw away our Saga Seeker so that we can play Harazi next turn, right? He's still got this equipment attached to him. He's a very good unit to have die. Okay. We would, of course, like to win that combat, but our plan is still working okay. It's like even without Poppy, we're going to have a pretty big round now. Just Poro. How big are these units now? We're picking up our impact and having the good things happen. Cool. Looks like about 1 million damage coming at you. Right around 1 million. Boomed him. Ready, set, slam. Good job, Poppy.
Quest complete. On to the next one.
So how do you all feel about the upcoming rotation? We shouldn't say it's upcoming. If you took a peek at the roadmap, which I felt was not too hype. I felt like they did the roadmap a lot better with the last one. I don't know if that was just because they had more to talk about. I feel like Riot had kind of like a transition in power, and they're kind of still in the replanning stages of the future of the game, so they didn't really do too much. But it's like set release, worlds, like skins and stuff. It felt like there was a lot more meat to the end of the last roadmap that came out. They made the hype videos for it and everything. But I think with this one, the thing that everyone is taking away is that there's going to be a rotation in terms of the next set, and it says with a new format. And so what I would kind of assume means out of something like that is the new format is just going to be like standard. And so there'll be the legacy format that has all of the cards, and there'll be a new standard format that only has the new and the recent ones in it, which I am all for. I'm curious how they're going to execute it, right? Because with Magic and Hearthstone and everything, they all have like a core set or a base set that has a lot of like the beginner and the foundations level cards in it, and then they have their expert level expansions coming out regularly through the year. But the difference with Hearthstone is the release schedule at the beginning, where there were like only 6 of the 10 factions or however many there are. And so they're going to have to do something to kind of balance out the number of cards in the game, since everything was it's kind of like a big U thing, right? To where, say, like Freylord had a bunch of cards right at the beginning, but then it's like opponent disconnected. Perfect time to just sit here and talk about this. But it was, at the beginning there's a lot of Freylord, but then to balance it out as the future sets came out, they didn't print as many Freylord based cards, and so I think they'll have to kind of take the first few sets and refactor it all together, and then come up with something. But we'll see. I have pretty good faith in Riot up to this point, and the things they've done and the things they've been doing, and don't really worry about what's going to be happening. But it certainly needs it, right? You don't want to run into a space to where there's too much power creep, to where you know, the new set came out. There were 5 champions in it. You don't want like your new 60 cards to come out and be like, oh, cool, 2 of these are relevant, right? That's how it is with Magic and the older sets. Like a new set will come out, 2 or 3 cards will be relevant, and that's it. And so the standard formats is what allows the new cards to be exciting. Okay, back to the game here, back to the action. Fairly awkward hand that we've assembled. I think we're looking to say, like, still play the Broadwing. Maybe we can get a Ranger's Resolve, or we're going to spend, like, some more mana this turn. I really want to be attacking with Misfortune and have her not die. I don't feel like I want to just be dropping Make It Rains, but that is a potential as well. If we were going to make it rain, we should have done it with that Ignition on the stack so we could attack right away. But I was busy talking and stuff. Didn't hit the one I was really hoping. I was really hoping we would hit the Rascal. That's going to make our Misfortune attack the safest, but it's not the end of the world. We'll look to just play Ranger's Resolve this turn. This lets us still go into next turn, play the Riptide Sermon on whatever his best unit is, and then spend all of our mana. I don't feel like it's the spot for a Golden Aegeus. Feels a little preemptive. We're not like close to killing him. We're not like challenging down 3 and 4 units. It just feels a little weak at this point. But if he plays a 5-drop, like Rumble doesn't count, but if he drops Victor here and we get to smoke him with the Sermon, then the game's pretty much done. Could not snap that off faster. Sure. Rip Misfortune. So it is a little unfortunate next turn we don't have the 1 mana for Quinn to be able to sharp sight, but I think we'll be able to take over the board pretty handily. Even just trading the Quinn bird for the Ballistic Bot at this point feels quite good. Keep looking at this guy's name. Cato is not cat in Spanish. Maybe it's cat in Portuguese. I don't know what language that is. Gato is cat in Spanish. I'm curious what this means. Aaron of the cat. I feel bad sometimes. I took like 3 semesters of Spanish in high school and then 3 more semesters of Spanish in college, and I can still like barely spout out half a sentence. It's like however long a semester is in America, like it's like 18 weeks, so that would be like 36 a year, essentially 100 all time in terms of amount of time I've spent studying the Spanish language. 100 weeks of my life, can barely spout out a sentence. It's fucking embarrassing, but is what it is, I guess. I can get on the internet and sound foolish. Alright, we're still in a pretty good spot. He invested everything into this Dune Hopper mech. We're not worried about it whatsoever. Even now that we get to drop Inspired Lights means that we'll be able to block the little soldiers without losing too many units. We're in just a fantastic spot now. So the big thing, I don't really want to get Quinn involved in this combat. Because I want her to have the barrier and her to be attacking twice. Now, with the way that this is set up, our Quinn attack is good, If he wants to block Quinn with the Dunehopper mech, he's going to lose his unit. Then in the second combat... Oh, we haven't played our Golden Aegis yet. Oops. In the second combat, we'll get the Quinn bird, and then we'll have access to this Petricite Broadwing. We'll have a handful of ways to protect the Quinn. Okay. Got a Victor Death Ray. That would be unfortunate, but without the Death Ray, I have to assume that this is probably done.
Just like hunting through protect and strike. No one escapes my aim.
Here comes Valor doing that sweet shit.
Valor.
Rip Dunehopper mech. Right, sweet. Now we'll get a open attack on our turn. The Quinn bird will take down Smash and Dash. Our Quinn's looking pretty lethal. I dig it. Oh, we even pick up Genevieve. Don't quite need her, but if we have to make a second attack, those bonus stats could be useful. Should be pretty tough for like P and Z to deal with this. He's been playing stress defense kind of cards, and so we might have to worry at some point. But my worries have been alleviated. GG. Good game, Aaron of the Cat. Hope you have a wonderful day, and the rest of your gauntlet is exciting and fruitful. All right. GG. Okay. Next battle. Sure to be a doozy. What do we got here? We got a nice little aggro lineup coming at us. We got Annie Jen, we got Pirates, and then we have Nasus Kindred. And at this, I think I'm okay with just banning out the Nasus Kindred. It's not horrible for all of our decks. Like, our decks tend to do okay against it, but I'm not the hugest fan of playing against Vile Feast. And those of you that remember our our days in Expedition, I used to hate Kindred so much. Kindred was such a ridiculous card in Expedition, and so I still have that lingering bad taste in my mouth in terms of Kindred and how bad he can be. Okay, into the battles though. I'm fine enough with taking both Poppy Taric and taking scouts into Pirates. So let's see here. I think we want to lead off with the Saga Seeker. I'm never going to interact with their turn 1 unit with the Fleet Feather Tracker. And so let's just go ahead and add him in case we find an appropriate unit in the second turn. And then now if opponent leads off with the Bilgewater Summoner, then we have an opportunity to potentially get some blocks in here. If he gets like a 1 health unit out of it. But the Darkened Lodestone, fantastic addition. We're going to get some big challenges from this point forward. Such a meaty bro. Check out the muscles on Saga Seeker. Such meaty. Such meaty. There's the Mirai Warden. That's what I meant with the previous turn, right? If he summons a 1/1 or something, we can potentially block it with Saga Seeker. Can't block the Hatchling because it has Fearsome, but I think the idea is still there, and the idea is still good. It's going to take down his biggest bro. There is an argument to hook in a 2-power unit, so we have this 2-power Laurent Protege next turn, but he's still capable of blocking the Zersai Hatchling in the next turn, and so he might get some good usage here. We want to keep growing our width as much as we can. So I would see an argument for, say, taking down the Precious Pet, but we should still be getting blocks. And then if he's open attacking again, that's absolutely fantastic.
I'm ready to shine.
Taric's ready to block. Okay, perfect, perfect. So we don't have to worry about too many shenanigans here. We're gonna start taking this board over quite well. Let's see. Let's block his highest power unit. Just taking 4 seems fairly okay. Like, we're really gonna pop off next turn. Alright. Like, I think once we get Poppy added into the mix here, this is really gonna be too tough for him to overcome. It was moderately tempting. Like, I saw the Esmith, the Lodestone, and the Fleet Feather Tracker as the means for a turn, but we're gonna get way more stats out of Poppy here. If he has to come in and do like a Nox and Fervor before we actually start combat, it's gonna set him so far behind. Very, very suspect him not playing anything to start with there, but sounds good to me. So if we support Poppy, then Poppy's going to get to boost all of our units, right? You can see the units on our bench growing now as well. After her, let's protect our protege, and then we can still take down the 1 power unit with our bird. So he's going to have a 2/2 blocker here. Does not look particularly strong against anything that we're doing. And so let's go ahead and get on into combat. I mean, if his turn is just another Eye of Nagakaboros to put a block in front of Taric, absolutely. Absolutely. When you look at this board, we have 4 units and they have 0. Then we've been doing something right.
Nice to meet you. I'm Isla.
All right, we should be reasonably safe here. I guess I could see an argument to play the Lodestone first, but I think this is still safe. He's only got 1 mana left. We're going to be open attacking next turn, so I'm just going to put the Lodestone onto Poppy. It's going to let her come in and block and not be too scared this round. We have the Guiding Touch onto the Saga Seeker to get both a Faded and a heal. Then, if he wants to pass, it's okay. So whatever the biggest ones are, you and you. No real reason to take this damage off of the dude, unless like next turn we hook both of his units out of combat. We're coming in for a lethal. Okay, let's take it. He might be able to make a play with the Noxus Blast, but that would just be just enough to save him. Golden Aegis is big. So, okay, Saga Seeker has support. Both of those have the supports we're looking for. Sacrifice our bird. Make sure the protege survives. It's pretty good. We still got a lethal. I didn't do these maths, but the thing you're worried about is him Noxus blasting one of our Poppy or our Saga Seeker to stop the lethal. But again, the game would be over at that point. All right, go us. On to the next one. I pick Scouts. So it should be in a good spot. Scouts has a pretty reasonable matchup against Annie Jen. And then pretty, depending on the various makeups of the decks, it can be positive against Pirates. I'd say it's just pretty even against Pirates, especially since we're not playing a lot of the width-based units. But if we get 2 shots with Scouts, it makes me feel pretty decent. First Blood. All right, and no plans to attack here. We'll see what he adds, but we usually don't really get any advantages out of attacking like this. And now we might find ourselves getting a pretty decent Ranger's Resolve.
Fortune favors the bold.
Definitely going to get a pretty decent Ranger's Resolve. The question is, do we want to add Misfortune here? Not super stoked about it. The thing being is we go into the next turn. If we have the 1 mana banked up here and then we play Zap, and Zap's going to attune, then we can still play the 2 cost spell that we're going to get out of Zap. So we just made a big tempo play here. Maybe we'll get something pretty big for next turn as well. I could also see an argument just to add Misfortune now, since we have the Broadwing hook into his Misfortune. Sharpsight lets us win there as well. Okay.
I'm one of the good guys, but not that good.
Okie dokie. See what he's got. That's not very nice. Why would you do that? People. Am I right? Or am I right? So, again, we found ourselves in this spot. Last game seems like we're finding ourselves here again. Rolling into turn 5 against Pirates when we have a bunch of units on the board and they don't have any. It's pretty good for us. It's pretty good for the team bust. Okay, let's go ahead and protect our Misfortune. We're going to be attacking. We can get the Fleet Feather Tracker down post Golden Aegis. I just want to go ahead and get Misfortune protected now. If he wants to Noxus Blast away his Zap to take Misfortune down, that feels like a win for us. He can't do it now, but on his previous turn. He does have the cheap spell. There is a chance it's going to be a Make It Rain, which will mess up our Broadwing attack. I think it's worth the risk. It's only like a 40% chance he actually hits. Sure, there's the Noxus Blast. Interesting. He chose to do the 2 damage and not take down Misfortune. Alright, well, we'll lead with Zap. Probably just going to play the Mirai Warden, but now that we picked up Valor, it's an easy enough switch. Rip Misfortune. We were going to flip you. I guess that's not the case now. I'm going to go for the lethal. If we hit a 2-power unit with the Warden, we'll have lethal. There it is. Rip it, roll it, mark it a W. GG. All right. Not a bad set of games. Not bad. The Pirates have been bested. Ooh, next battle. All right, what do we got here? Boom, straight ban on that Ezreal Kennen, easy peasy. And so we talked about this a little earlier, and I'm not familiar with our friend Hollywood here. I don't mean any disrespect to their skills, but one of the things that I've really found in battling in the Gauntlet is it's often okay to let your opponents just play the Nami deck, and it's okay to let them play decks like Ezreal Kennen. It's just they take a bit of skill to pilot, and the average pilot of these decks doesn't do it very well. And so I'm okay to let those stick around. I'm still going to stick to our initial plan of just banning out Ezreal Kennen, but I would see a realistic safety valve and just banning out the Katarina deck. It's a lot more straightforward than these other two, and then just expecting our opponent to not play these decks well. But I think we'll do okay taking down the Ezreal Kennen. I think I'm good to start with the Katarina deck. If we start off with like a Katarina Mirror, it's not super exciting. I'm honestly not ultra familiar with the Mirror matchup. It's just not a deck I've played a ton of. Like if we're going to play Scouts Mirrors, I'll feel pretty good. If we're going to play Mirrors against this one, it's just not something I've played a ton of. And so I don't feel great, but hopefully our triple harrowing technology will be enough to carry us to victory. Okay, happy enough to trade here. His unit's a little bit more high value on the board since it can turn into a 3/3. All right, we're safe to take down the Sentinel now. I'd like to see it go. Now we're going to be able to get this fresh Elise on the board. Sure, we're going to get the dopest of hits. Oh, fearsome. Well, I guess we're not getting the dopest of hits on the husk, but I'm happy enough with how that turn was playing itself out. Double fearsome. He should need extra power to come in and block our Elise. That's the way the game works, right? That's the way the game should work. All right, still getting a little bit of value here. Looks good. We can potentially flip our Elise on his turn depending on how these things go. Gotta really be looking into it if he taps out for Gwen here. Interesting. Feels like we're about to run into a black spear, but I'm pretty okay with that. Let's just go ahead and drop the house spider, see how they spend their mana. If we end up losing our Elise, it's not the biggest deal. Let's see, there's a realistic chance he doesn't attack here. So I'm going to go ahead and just Vile Feast the house spider. And then if he has to come in and like hate spike our house spider down, that's pretty good. If he has no more plays here, that's great. And then if we get open next turn and take down his units with our little 1/1s, that feels kind of nice as well. Cool.
Let me change into something more comfortable. What a strange, wonderful world.
So I would assume if he didn't have an answer last turn to Elise, he probably doesn't have one now. And now we get a pretty good set of hooks into his board. We have the free kill into the Reckoner. We have the kills on his 1 powers. We can come in with our remaining friends. Empty it out real good. Okay. Pretty close to the lethal. We're almost there. More Elise. Gotta get these spiderlings happening. Coming at us for 10. He's gonna get an additional unit as well. We should be able to survive it. It shouldn't be too scary. It's only 10. I'm pretty tempted to just take all of it. We have like a fairly safe block though if we want to send our Phantom Butler here and then thread the needle the Fallen Reckoner. And if he hates spikes, it's not horrible. The other beautiful thing here is the crawling sensation is extremely relevant. These 2 little spiderlings pulling his blockers out of combat. It's pretty good, pretty cool. I don't know how much you dig it, but I dig it a lot. Got him. Good job, Gwen deck. I always believed in you.
Every moment of this has been a joy.
All right, in with the scouts. Not the greatest of starts. Let's take a full mulligan here. It's just you don't feel really good about having Blinding Assault as your only early play in general, but even more so against a Vile Feast deck. So we can still get some reasonable build-up with this now. If he has the Hate Spike to take down the Durandi Sculptor, we're going to be hurting. But if we get to play the Sculptor on 2 and then follow up with some of these other cards, then we'll be in a little bit better shape.
I sculpt what others only dream of.
Nice. So we'll take a bit of damage here. It's a non-zero amount of scary, but I feel much safer with the Sculptor on board. Doesn't have the mana to be playing Blade's Edges this turn. Let's go with the Warden. I really wanted to get the Blinding Assault down. It's just not going to work out.
Dodge this. Care for a taste of tomorrow?
All right, Katarina in hand.
They'll
We should be able to manage her, though. We'll just go ahead and get started with the bird. If we play it now, we can open attack onto the Spiderling. The only thing that would make us stop would be as if we draw Misfortune. Nope. But now, hopefully we'll get a pretty good round going. We can Broadwing into Bright Steel. He's just hitting for damage here. That's not very scary. He comes in. He has to be attacking with Katarina. And then, I guess he doesn't have to. It can't feel good, though, if he's just going to be taking a shitload of damage here. I would assume he just attacks. Like, that at least protects his Katarina from dying. He has a second one in hand as well. He played the wrong one.
steady hands.
All right, good spot. A lot of expensive stuff happening here, but no complaints otherwise. This is a great draw in Misfortune. Misfortune into Inspiring Light with Genevieve next turn. Quite good. Wow, so many Blade's Edges. We might find ourselves losing Misfortune here if he's going to Blade's Edge plus Ravenous Flock. But I mean, there's no denying we've been getting, I believe, the upper hand on these boards.
It's just a neck.
We could technically even block this Katarina with our Broadwing now, but I don't feel like that's super high valued. Alright, so Genevieve, not as great. We're going to go with the Riptide Sermon, even though we just drew Quinn. She's not quite enough. Getting the kill onto Katarina here is pretty good. Going to get to slam in for a big ton of damage. I dig it. The appropriate amount of damage to always be swinging in with is a big ton. That's the amount I want to be doing. Alright, so the thing that would be frightening for us now is if he's able to play the Harrowing next turn. He can't do it now. He had the potential to 3-bank into turn 7 here and play the Harrowing, but he's a little light on mana. I was going to say our saving grace against the Harrowing would be our access to Quinn, but don't quite need it. Going to go ahead and throw down a block, just because we're getting like sort of close to atrocity range, and I don't want to just get smoked by this Gwen. We shouldn't have to worry about rallies anymore, right? Both of his Katarinas are dead. Now I think we can drop Quinn, and then play Genevieve next turn. Be in a pretty close to game-ending spot. I guess we would have to worry about the likes of a I had something I was worried about. It slipped my mind. Let's see what we draw. I'm not entirely opposed to getting Misfortune on the board.
No matter the resolve, mine will be stronger.
It's going to be really tough to take this Gwen down, though. Right, we can't just like open and lethal here. It's unfortunate if he's able to play the Harrowing this turn, but like, would we rather Misfortune plus Castaway? I mean, I think this is good. If we say play Misfortune, we can now use the Quinn Bird to hook in the Ruined Reckoner. If he wants to block Quinn with Gwen, it's not the end of the world. He did have the Harrowing, okay. But we can still get some decent attacks in this round.
Scouting ahead.
We're not just dead, right? How much can he bring? I mean, I think we just want to be ready to block. And then if he gets overly ambitious, like once he attacks with his dudes, we'll have an opportunity to attack around his now dead ephemerals.
Fortunate it seems. I shall need my tools. Blood for Noxus. Stay still. You're easy to track. I know what I'm doing.
Misfortune can go down there. Here's where it starts to suck. So if we block like this, I guess the downside here is like we picked up these value blocks, but he's going to be able to start blades edging our dudes.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Found some flotsam.
What if we do this, and now we can try and use the hammer, whatever it's called. Okay. Fall to 4. Here come the blade's edges. That was the one I was worried about. Okay.
This might hurt.
All right, in with the Pan of Pain. We're dead, right? Gonna be a little bit short. We needed one more unit here. Okay. Whew, that's tough. That's the power of the Harrowing. But if you want to cycle back to my initial comment as this match came up, that would be a reason to go towards banning out the Elise deck. Again, no hate to Hollywood here. He could be the best player in the world. I've never heard of him. He could be the best player in the world on a Smurf. Who knows? But the likelihood of them playing the Nami deck to protect perfection compared to the likelihood of them killing us with the Harrowing are like not entirely balanced, right? All right, pretty decent start though. He's playing the Shadow Isles version here. I'm not super familiar with the removal suite that this deck plays. In terms of, they do have the Ionia one is the current popular one right now.
Every work demands a piece of ourselves.
Okay, I think I'm okay to play it a little bit slow into this Misfortune. Let's get down the Broadwing. We can follow up with the Blinding Assault. See if we can't get some pretty big damages in this round.
A little reinforcement at the seams.
shouldn't be any recalls coming out of this deck, right? But, well, the droplet's got to be the scary one here. Okay. No reason to let him just hang out with an elusive on board. Okay. This is not good. Not good. He has at least spent all of his mana. So it's his Nami is currently 5 away from a level up. But you need to hang on to that early aggression. Okay, well, let's see if we can't pick up an early play next turn. We might be able to turn things around here if we hit with the Inspired Light. That was very aggressive. So if we get to drop Misfortune next turn, drop another unit, and play an Inspired Light, be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Go hard, number 2.
I'm one of the good guys, but not that good.
All right, let's do one of those combat things everybody's talking about.
Where's my hammer?
Sure. So it is a little sad to give them access to more Twisted Fates, but you know, we've got a pretty powerful board now. If he wants to bank up for Nami next turn, she's still got a bit of work to go in terms of flipping. Oh fuck, that was his third go hard. All right, let's see if we get AoE'd right out of this one. I have been playing a bit of Pack Your Bags in the Ari Kennen, so it's certainly a potential blowout here.
There's another one!
Costs 5 mana to pull off the 5 damage AoE, so we'll try and protect our Misfortune. See if he's hit it. Good job. I mean, what else are you supposed to say? Just immediately redrawing all of them. Very fun card.
Set sail. No gills, no eggs.
Okay, getting close. Nami's still not ready to flip. It's a little awkward with the Riptide Sermon. Ideally, we would be able to kill a unit with it. Misfortune was not a good draw. All right, let's keep at it. Want to keep the Sermon for if he drops Nami on the board. Oh boy, just Shelly. Okay. That spell shield's not permanent. It's just for the round. We could technically pop it if we needed to. Like, I guess if he plays like a double trouble and hits a 1 health unit, I'm not entirely opposed to it. See what happens. We hit the Shelly. Would still have to worry about a Nami next turn, but I think this is probably worth going for. It's like one of these deals, if he has both, we're probably going to lose the game, but if he only has the Nami, then it's not, or if he only has the Shelly, it's not nearly as bad. Okay. So he's only down to a gem and 1 other card. Hopefully manageable. He's going to need quite a bit here now. He has Burblefish. So he can hit for like 7, 8, 9. Sapling Toss rolls for next turn.
These were from the Protector himself.
Comes at us for 8. Okay. Got him. Oof, that's close. Pack your bags was not ideal. That's it's a dumb card. I'm surprised with the KDA stuff. I swore that the idea with the KDA cards was that it was going to be like a short-term thing, to where they like released them as a special package, and then you got to play with like the KDA cards for like 6 months, and then that just wasn't the case. It just never happened. And I thought that was actually like a really interesting concept, as to where if you want to have, like as I was saying earlier, in terms of Riot not having like a real and functional core set, and how do you handle the release of new cards without having to either just power creep and print things that are more and more powerful. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to go about it, is to where let's say that you just kind of inject 100 cards into the format for 6 months and then just take them back out. But I kept like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting on them to remove the KDA cards, and they never did it. And I was like, oh, I guess this is just part of life now. But I like swore for the longest time that was part of the idea behind them, and it just didn't happen. But it's like as Riot does these things, there's like the KDA event, and they have these like 5 and 6 event things throughout the year. I thought that would be a pretty interesting way to handle a bit of it, is you release the KDA cards while the KDA event is happening, and then as the event ends, they just get pulled out of Constructed, and then the next event comes, whatever it is called, and you have this new set of cards for a little bit, and then the event ends, and that cycles away, and then it kind of, you don't have to release nearly as many cards throughout the year, just because you have new fresh stuff keep continuing to pop up. But didn't happen that way, so it is what it is, I guess. All right, the final battle is here. Made it the whole time without talking about football. You're welcome. You are welcome. And okay, so we talked about this earlier as well. We're going to come out here and ban the Trundle Timeline stack. This is another one that causes a bit of issues for what we're doing. The Victor Aphelios stuff and the Kaisa stuff, it's still, reasonably strong. But the Winding Light nerfs and then the Void Abomination nerfs have been fairly damaging to them. I've played a reasonable amount of Kaisa post-nerf and just don't like it. It just doesn't feel right. Trying to look for factions that aren't Demacia to play with Kaisa. Nothing there just feels good. And then Victor Aphelios, of course, a more classic style control deck, but without the Winding Light having Overwhelm on itself, it's a lot more challenging for them to close out games. But the big game plan problem you run into with the likes of Trundle Caitlyn are, as they are able to play the timelines, their stats are just too big, and you can never get good challenges with any of our units, and so it's a bit weak there. But here with the scouts, I felt like if we're going to have to play up against Victor Aphelios, that we're going to have a better shot with the deck with the Harrowing in it. And so I felt pretty reasonable just starting off with scouts. And so if we need to play a Harrowing against this deck, then we can do it. Or if we lose with scouts, then it's okay. It's never okay to just lose with scouts, but I think we'll be able to manage. This is a pretty terrible start, though. We can hopefully recover kind of quickly. We don't have any combos for our Blinding Assault, so let's just go ahead and trade out with the Goat. Right? As the turns go on, are we ever going to be able to play a Blinding Light that lets us take down a Mountain Goat? No. And so I think we're safe to just go ahead and take this combat while we can. Maybe we could. I don't know. We have the Castaways, but it's going to be tough to get the unit on board and have it die. We did just immediately pick up a Brightsteel Protector, which is a way to do it, but these are also ways that end up with our opponent getting 2 and 3 gems. All right, we got the Scout Rake or the Overwhelm Rake. I'm usually leaning towards the Overwhelm Rake, especially with a hand like this to where we don't have a lot of good combats for the Rake anyways. We don't have a Misfortune, we don't have any other combos, and so the Overwhelm one can be powerful in terms of getting value attacks and also getting in some chip damage. What you got for us? I'm going to block. You bringing it? Are you bringing it? I'm going to bring it. Look at this guy. This guy's ready to bring it. Very muscular. He's eating a sandwich? God, dude. What a good day. Whew. Okay, here comes opponent. Took a while to think on that one. Block. All right. So what do we got? We picked up a bird. Can maybe do some work. See what he plays. We have a couple of options here in terms of bird. We can look to Bright Steal it, which is what I think we're going to do now that he's played Boom Baboon. And then we can still drop the weapon onto bird, get a pretty nice attack in for this round, and then threaten all of his future victors with this this bird plus weapon. So much value out of these weapons. It's quite nice. Whoa, get excited. Sure. We got plenty of ways to spend the mana these rounds with all of the attunes that we have. See if we can't get this big, overwhelming Genevieve happen next turn. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And Moon Boy. Okay. I'm curious if he picked up Calibrum there. It's like Calibrum and Double Stun would be the two typical options. I mean, I guess I could see an argument for picking up Generate a Unit as well. Just like, how boomed are we if we go into the next turn and play Genevieve, and then he just drops Double Stun on her? It doesn't sound awesome. Does not sound awesome. But, I mean, if he went for Calibrum, are we set? Like, he takes 3 damage, she attacks into Aphelios. That doesn't sound awesome. Let's just get our attunes going. Missed out on a mana there. That feels kind of bad. I kind of wish we could take that back and just put the Fish Whack onto Zap. It is quite powerful having these equipment to put on an elusive unit. Okay, good. He does the Hex Core upgrade first. So if he wanted to like kill one of our units, he could have really messed up our sequencing there. But that worked out. Now we're nice and strong and ready to attack. So many values out of these weapons. I love it. 3 damage, sure. He doesn't have to block here. We're only going to take him to 1, but I would assume he's going to do some amount of blocking. Oh, Death Ray. Okay. Okie dokie. I'll be fairly surprised if he doesn't get involved here. I don't think Calibrum can pull up. What's Severum? I'm trying to think if this can pull up Lifesteal. I don't remember which one Severum is. We can look this way. can pull up lifesteal. Okay. He can gain quite a bit of health here, putting a lifesteal onto Victor. What you got now? He's definitely getting a lifesteal. A little unfortunate. Gonna be the shitload to have to work through now. Sure. I mean, is he really just going to trade away his whole team here? That seems awful.
I've got your back.
It's like, I'm half tempted to just not play the Brightsteel just to see if he doesn't trade away his team. Like, it just seems like, how do you plan on winning this game if you trade away all your good cards? I don't think that works exactly how you want, friend. The lifesteal into barrier doesn't gain you any health. Okay. So what do we got now? I'm looking at this turn as using the Blinding Assault, the Fleet Feather Tracker, and the Genevieve. We do have the Combat Reel attached to Zap, which if we hadn't messed up that spell mana a little bit earlier, would have been really choice to be adding to the board, but kind of is what it is. If we would have that just one extra point of mana, we could be in a really choice spot here. I mean, I guess the other angle we could take is if we hook both of his champions out of combat, then we'll have an opportunity to win that way. So let's lead in with the Blinding Assault. We're going to follow up with Genevieve. If it looks like we can use Genevieve to just take down Aphelios, that's fine. I believe that for his Moon Weapon, he probably picked up Double Stun. And that's the one that we're seeing in hand now. So it's a little less awesome to be dropping Genevieve in this spot, but she can still get quite a bit of work done this round. It's gonna force him into blocking our Zap with his Victor, and he'll gain a bunch of health, but I mean, we just actually beat Gravitum, right? No, we'll be a blocker short. Okay. Now we have potential to do it. We can hook down Moon Boy. Want to hang on to Valor. Now, if he doesn't have any more plays, we can hook his 2 units out to the right and potentially get a kill. Shock Blast is good. Nice work, Reg. Nice work, Reg. He's down to 2 cards. All right, I think we just got to pass. Not bad. Drops us to 6. That's probably a little too much. If we have the opportunity to take the Reggie out, might as well do it, I believe. All right, so we're gonna have to do some work. We're gonna have to figure out a way to come back in and get a bunch of damage through. Got to basically restart with him able to be at 20. But we have 3 weapons and the tools required to take down Victor. So maybe that'll be enough. It's kind of scary counting on this Broadwing to do it. But, all right, well, the coast might be clear. Genevieve, pretty good.
With me.
I was like, could she ever survive this? No, no, she cannot. So let's at least load her up. Now, yeah, this is fine. I was going to say, are we really okay with just having this broad wing behind? And I think it's okay. We can switch the camp block off of it after one of these attacks. Right, if he's going to keep passing, we'll just keep passing. But we have that option, right? We can switch a different equipment onto the broad wing.
Night flowers upon my blade.
What's up, Quinn?
Don't let them reinforce.
That's pretty cool. That's a bold move. Very aggressive statement coming from opponent there. Alright, GG. Whew, equipments, am I right? What a way to keep you in a game. Jeez.
We're safe. For now.
Good stuff, good stuff. Alright, the scouts have done it. Get 2 shots with Gwen. Feels good. That was intense. Just get so much value out of those equipment. Man, it's mind-blowing when you get to use them over and over again. Get to use them on scouts. Just so many great options coming out of that. Right. Not the strongest of starts, but not terrible. Picking up an Elise with some removal's not bad. Just, you see the Harrowing and you're like, oof, this is gonna take a while. Now we have some options with the bird. Like, I don't think I'm ultimately worried about him having a chain vest. Like, it would be unfortunate if he does, but if he's gonna really just come down and make a trade, oh, he is gonna have the chain. Just a Ranger's Resolve. Okay, perfect. The tough is why I didn't want to just Vile Feast the bird. So we'll have plenty of time to deal with this thing. It's not anywhere near leveling up a Kaisa, and so, or not leveling up Kaisa is not the right word. It's not anywhere near getting copied onto Kaisa. There's some potential and danger in not Vile Feasting this hatchling right away. I mean, I don't care if he plays a sharp sight onto it or something to give it tough, or plays a combat trick just to get the Vile Feast around it. Not really worried about that. He is really close to hitting Evolve, right? He's got the 2 from this thing, the 2 skills from... what's her name? Here's the last one. Do we want to go ahead and start taking this stuff down? I don't think so. I mean, I would like to spend a mana this turn. Maybe we just go ahead and hate spike the Protege. That feels good. Did a quick attacking Reckoner. It's not terrible. Not bad. We're going to have a really strong board now. I'm ready to party. Who wants to party with me?
There's still time. We have to. Their every move just makes me strong.
Sounds like it's Kaisa. Kaisa wants to party. Let's get him in there. We're building up to a Harrowing turn, so I think we need to just like crush in as much damage as we can, and then see what we can do with it. Like, we don't have any way to stop his Kaisa from getting strong, right? If he has another bird, we might be able to drop a Vile Feast on the bird, but if he's able to land all that stuff, we can't really do anything about it. So I think we just need to be ready to punch now that he's got the big girl down and all loaded up. She's got to be blocking though, right? Even if it's just like a spiderling or something small. Yeah.
I've got eyes.
Okay. No problem with the Reckoner coming down when we Harrowing him back. Gets to still drop some of those abilities on the board. Many keywords. She's probably going to pick up the 3 from the Zersai, so then she'll be dealing 5 damage out. Without Scout, he shouldn't be able to stop us. And so, like, there is, I guess, reasonable argument that this was a bit preemptive on the Mountaineer, whatever this guy's called, Risen Reckoner, because he's going to, like, opponent's going to be attacking. We probably should have just waited for the attack and then played the Risen Reckoner afterwards, because now if he does play a Quinn bird, we have to Vile Feast it, and we're in a bit of a bind. But whoopsies. Okay. The same thing applies if he has a Golden Aegis in hand as well. This was just a little preemptive on the Reckoner.
I'm coming for you.
Take 1, 6, 9, 10, 11. Can't tell if we're going to be dead to this or not. 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 or so.
There's nowhere to hide.
Alright, let's see if he's got a rally for the Have-em-alls. If he doesn't have it, I'll feel pretty decent about this Harrowing getting a win. It's gonna keep Kaisa from blocking. Uh-oh, he's taking a while. That had to have been the most obvious line 2022 to play a Cataclysm into Golden Aegis if you have it. I'm really curious what we're thinking about here. Alright, see if the big spell's worth it. No counter spells, that's always cool. Kaisa can't block. Can leave little Spiderling at home if we want. But otherwise, let's see what happens here. How good things can go. Interesting. All right, 19 coming at you, friend. I feel like that Rite of Calling just kind of indicated the game was over. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. He says, "Oh, F, Bust got me with the Harrowing." And we got him. GG. And so, yeah, not bad. Not bad. I was surprised with the amount of Poppy Taric bans we saw. I'm always curious if people just ban shit because it's what's on the left or if they ban it because that was actually a part of their strategy. Because I feel like the majority of the time that you would want to ban Poppy Taric, you would rather just ban Scouts. And so it's really odd to me to see people ban Poppy Taric so much through this trial. But it is the deck on our left. And so I do think that there is quite a bit of, oh, I'm just going to pick the one on the left and ban that, which was probably what happened on a few of those there. But our lineup worked to perfection, if you will. The strategies we were looking to chase down and ban out got banned out. I'm still, I don't mean to trash on that guy we played that was playing Nami Twisted Fate, but again, I'm curious within that match with us losing to the Katarina deck when they play Harrowing, and then us winning this last match here when we play poorly and then still just win with the Harrowing. It does give you some pause as to if that's just the kind of deck that you should be banning out, or if we should just be playing more of the cards like the Harrowing and more of our decks, because that's like not to divulge too far away from best of three, but we are playing in this draft league. And that's my standard strategy in Draft League, is just to ban Freylord, because Freylord has all the really strong epics in it. And so if you're going to play into these kind of grindfest games in a game of Limited, and you're playing against an opponent that has the 6-cost landmark that makes level 2 champions, and they have Feel the Rush, and they have War Mother's Call, and they have all these big Freylordian epics in their deck, they have a lot of that oops, I win factor, right? As to where if you're playing a deck like Ezreal Kennen or Nami Twisted Fate, those decks don't say oops, I win very frequently. Like, maybe they do and I just don't feel like it. I definitely didn't feel it playing Ezreal Kennen. Maybe the Nami deck does, but the oops, I win factor with the Harrowing is just fucking huge. And so maybe at least in like Gauntlet there's some reason to kind of ban that stuff out. And then if we're playing in seasonals, we have to kind of stop and think a little bit harder and say, well, this opponent, while they probably aren't outside the realm of misplaying, they're much less likely to misplay than a person that's just in the Gauntlet. And so I'm still not entirely certain how I feel about that side of the pick ban, because I've had so much success playing against Namis and Gauntlet, but I do feel pretty strong on our side, which is just bring good decks, don't play a bunch of weird shit, and just have a lot of real and raw power out here, because you're going to run into some odd stuff, you're going to run into some suboptimal play, and you want to be able to take advantage of that when you can. And so don't come out here and try to pick on pirates. Don't have an anti-pirates lineup. Just come out here and just play some good decks like Scouts and Poppy Taric and Gwen Katarina, or you can play Nasus, or you can play Evelyn Vigio, whatever your flavor is. You just play the good ones and don't play weird shit. And you should probably have some pretty decent success. Some life advice, just don't play the weird shit, stick with what works. And so, with that being that will do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video, maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Maybe you just learned to take that weird shit right out of your life. Maybe had a good time watching, learned a thing or two along the way. I'm losing it. Nonetheless, that is going to be it. Have yourselves a good one out there.